All right, there we go. And one last button. Greetings, everyone. Welcome back to Friday. And as we are now going into what happened earlier today, where go back to Wednesday when we lost one of the great patriots in the United States, where this assassin took out Charlie Kirk at one of his rallies, one of the most kind of innocent and men that was just wanting to have a debate and a conversation with you, the American people, especially with the younger generation of American citizens. But the Democrats, they cannot stand the debate because the Democrats cannot win on the floor of ideals. And so then they have to push through activism. The Democrats rely very heavily on their progressivism, their liberalism, their activism. And then if that doesn't work, then they try to shut you up. But of course, when that doesn't work, then they also then go to resort to violence. And we're going to go through what happened earlier today. This was Donald Trump, who was on Fox this morning, and he said that we got him. Trump tells Fox News, he said, to keep the lawsuits, but they had someone that was turned in that looks like was the person who shot Charlie Kirk. Now, as we go and we talk about all the different facts, things about this, one of the things that the left is trying to push is through his family. And this is one of the things I think is very weird, because you're going to look at his upbringing and we're going to see that he basically grew up in a nuclear family. I mean, as far as I can tell, he had a very good and normal life. So what changed? We're going to cover all of that. And going through the first part of this was as Charlie Kirk had brought in millions and millions of Americans, especially the younger generation, to start swinging and voting from Democrat to Republican. In fact, this is the reason I think Charlie Kirk was shot, is the American men between 18 and 29, the political shift just over the last 2 years. In 2023, the Democrats were plus 26. But in 2025, and this is after Donald Trump had won, the men between 18 and 29 were now plus 18 Republican. This is a conservative swing of plus 44. I mean, that is absolutely staggering. That is huge. And this is, I think, why the Democrats took him out. And they do this they start by dehumanizing us. Because the Democrats, they are too big cowards to do it themselves. So when they use the same rhetoric over and over again, calling us Nazis and calling us fascists, they know exactly what they are doing. They are going after impressioning these very young people to try to radicalize them and just hoping that they can nudge them far enough, just like this young kid did, and just like they did with Donald J. Trump. When they call you racist, when they call you bigot, when they call you a transphobe, when they call you, a homophobe, when they call you a white nationalist, extreme MAGA Republican, any of those other names, now as they're going through with fascism and Nazis, which is none of it is true. But the Democrats, they do not care for a single second. For the Democrats, all they care about is power. And the only thing that unites the Democrat Party is hatred. Hatred for you, the American people, and hatred for anybody that will not go along with what they want. So anytime that an atrocity has to be committed, the one side that wants the atrocity to commit, what they always do every single time is that they have to dehumanize the other side. Exactly what the Democrats are doing, what we're going to go through today and talk very extensively about here on the CASHLOREN show. And if you're enjoying this, take a moment and repost and help us share an American First message with your followers. It's absolutely free and it takes just a second. Now, as Tyler Robinson, as he's been identified as the person who allegedly shot Charlie Kirk, and this went on for I think just over 30 hours before it went public, with Donald Trump in the morning announcing that they had him. And as it turns out, what it looks like happened was that a minister worked with his family, and then his father, who was worked for the sheriff's department, then took his son into custody and took him down to the police department and dropped him off where he's then arrested. Now, under Utah law, he can be charged with the death penalty. In fact, they are charging him with aggravated murder, in addition to what the federal prosecution may charge as well. And both of them can lead to the death penalty, and I hope so. Because we have to fight back to save our country. Okay, make no mistake about this. We are in a war to save our country. And it was the Democrats who put it in this position. We were the ones that were wanting just to have an open debate and have a conversation. I mean, that was Charlie Kirk's entire career. His entire life was having a microphone that was open, that you can come in and you can say anything. And he would talk to anybody about any subject. And the left hated him for it because he was winning. Because he's winning over the hearts and minds of the younger generation. Remember, a 44-point swing for Republicans in just 22 years. And now we're coming up to the midterms, and then we're going to be into the 2028 elections. And the Democrats, they have no path forward to win. And the Democrats have absolutely nothing they can run on. There's not a single subject that American voters care about that the Democrats can say that they're on the right side of. In fact, the Democrats are on the wrong side of every single 80-20 issue, and they're continuing to just double down on them. And the Democrats don't realize yet, but they're going to find out just how bad they screwed up by taking out Charlie Kirk and attempting to take out Donald Trump. You're going to see leaders now coming up the next 5 and 10 years that they're going to point to this moment that activated them. And you're going to see a lot of the younger generation now that probably would have stayed on the sidelines, but were already moving to the right, are now going to be further in. And the ones that decided they didn't want to be a part of this are going to be more involved now because of what the Democrats did. The left's the newest hoax is that they're trying to take Charlie Kirk's shooter and try to pretend that he was somehow MAGA. So let's debunk that and talk about that for a moment. As most of this is coming from the article from the Daily Mail this morning, where they said that Charlie Kirk's killer had been identified. And they start out with he has a mother and a father, right? So he came from a nuclear family. His mother was she was in a support coordinator services, and she would help disabled people receive care. Sounds like a pretty good woman. His father worked for the sheriff's department, I think still does, for over 27 years. And then he lived in a $600,000 6-bedroom home in Washington, Utah. And Utah is not exactly prime real estate. So, I mean, he had it really good from all we can tell. And now let's start to take a look at some of the photos, because let's see, that one's backwards. Okay, I think they're backwards. So let's go all the way back to the end. Okay, so these are some of the photos from him. And for the most part, he just looks like a normal kid. And for the streams that can't see the photos, I'll go over them. This is one with his family, and he has 2 younger brothers. Both their faces are blurred out, because they're minors, and they should be. This is a mother and a father, and with their son, it just looks like a normal kid. And then here is another one, right? Just a normal kid smiling. I mean, he just looks like any other. Here he is in his room. Again, just like this would be a million other like nerdy gamer kids. He's got a little bed right next to his window, and then he's got his table and his computer set up there. And ironically, in this photo it has this one next to it, is he's wearing the same shoes that he wore when he went to assassinate Charlie Kirk. And he has, I think the backpack is also in this photo. But here he is, and in this one, this is a lot of what they're pushing for, is that he is in this like Donald Trump Halloween costume, as far as we can tell. That these are sold online, and he's basically riding the back of Trump. And you have the next one, here he is with his mom. And again, this is graduation, it looks like, and they're both smiling and happy. I mean, there's nothing warning here, right? This kid, as we're going to talk about this and expose, he seemed to have lived 2 different lives. He lived the one in these photos where he's just like a normal American kid, and then the other life he lived where he was just a radical leftist about ready to pop. And all the warning signs, again, were there, as we're going to go through, and we're going to show all of these photos here. And then here he is again with his father, just having dinner. Now we're taking a look. This is the building. So this is after he shot Charlie Kirk, and this is where he's going after the roof. And the FBI in Utah, they had a press conference this morning, and I was hoping that we'd get more info from this, because some of this just doesn't make sense. Like in this photo here, so this is right after he took the shot, and he's going to the back of the roof, and then he climbs down as low as he can, and he drops off. But one of the weird things about this is the gun that he was using, it doesn't take apart. It's one single weapon. So where is the gun? Because they're saying it was dropped off and then he picked it up. He went up to there, and there's a video where he's walking. It looks like he's walking with a limp. Now, I'm assuming that he wasn't actually limping. He was concealing the gun. Okay. But then where is the gun here? Because I don't see the same limp. And I thought this part was weird. And then next is this sniper's nest. Well, this is where he actually took a shot at Charlie Kirk. It was about 200 yards away. And you can see he's right in front of the stage. Just a perfect downward trajectory shot with a rifle. And as he grew up with his father around guns, around hunting, okay, he, as far as we can tell, he had a lot of experience with weapons, both hunting and fishing. So it's very reasonable to think that he could make this kind of shot. And my question is, and I hope that we get more answers here in the future, is one, why was this not covered? I mean, if you're going in, you're trying to do pre-prep in your security, right? And so you go to wherever Charlie Kirk or any other to protect he's at, especially after what happened to Donald Trump. Why was there no protection, no guarding on these roofs? Why was there no drones? Now, I don't know Charlie Kirk's protection. I don't know who these people are. From everything I can tell from what others have said, these are very good and competent security. That some of them have been military and some of them have served in very combat situations. So why was this roof not covered? And also, at this point now, can we really do outside events anymore? Because all it takes now is one roof and one rifle. And if this was inside, Charlie's probably alive today. And that's an unfortunate reality. And we got really, really fortunate with Donald J. Trump, because if Donald Trump had not turned his head at the precise right moment, then Donald Trump would also not be with us today. Unfortunately for Charlie Kirk, it's not the same. And I hope the right lessons are learned from this. Let's see, so that's going the wrong way. And then this is another one where, again, they're showing up above where he was versus to where Charlie was, and then how he accessed up through the stairwells. I think this is very weird. I have a lot more questions about this. I hope we get the answers, because this has a lot of parallels to with like the Trump shooter, where he just seemed like a normal kid. From all the pictures that we could tell until recent, is kind of the same thing. This one kid just all by themselves, all of a sudden, is able to take a clear shot at these very high profile targets. I mean, how does that all work? And as they announced in the morning this press conference that there was Discord, and one of the reasons they use like Discord is because they use these like secure messages. But his friend had, because he was in the messages, so he showed this to the police officers, and they're able to show that he was planning this for quite a while. And so allegedly, this looks like they have the right guy. Now, I also, as we get further into this and into the Democrat Party, here I'm going to play first this clip of him for graduating high school. Let's see, where is it? Let me upload that real quick. I don't think I got that one. Let's see, where did it go? Did I bring that up? Bear with me for a second, folks. There it is. Okay, so I didn't upload to the system. So here it is. So this is him, and this is him accepting into college. And I think this is the point where we're going to start to see when this young kid, who was just another American boy, started to get radicalized by the Democrats and the left.
Okay. Congratulations. You have been selected to receive the Resident Presidential Scholarship from Utah State University. The value of this scholarship is approximately...
This is supposed to be a moment that is just very proud for every single parent, where your child has just had a scholarship to go to college. And this is supposed to be the dream for everybody. But what's happened to these universities, and what we're starting to expose with everything that's happening in them, is they're not there to educate your children. These universities exist to radicalize them. And as the friends and as others have started to talk about and started to explain what happened, is that seems to be exactly what happened. Because just a couple of years ago, all of a sudden his political rhetoric got more and more radical. And he became more and more angry and agitated. And then he started hanging out in all these chat rooms and all these Discord servers, and then going to college with all these rampant leftists. And what's all the rhetoric that they talk about all the time about how his hate speech and misinformation and disinformation, what they were really doing is radicalizing these kids. So the Democrats, when they call you Nazis, and when they call you fascists, these cowards know exactly what they are doing. The Democrats are trying to dehumanize you to justify the actions like this kid did. And the Democrats themselves are too big of cowards to do it themselves because they don't want to spend the rest of their lives in prison. So instead, they radicalize these young kids who are impressionable. They tell them like literal Hitler has returned and that we're going to be a threat to our democracy. And these young kids, they hear it and all their friends hear it. And unfortunately, some of the weak-minded ones start to believe it. I mean, what would you do? If you had a chance to stop Hitler, would you do it? Or these kids believe that that is exactly what is happening right now. None of it's true, of course. Donald Trump and our movement loves America. We are putting America first. We're doing everything that Donald Trump ran on is being implemented now. We are taking our country back from the radical left and now bringing it back to you, the American people, by putting up the border, by deporting illegal aliens, by enforcing our laws, by using the tariffs, by defunding the federal government, and stopping the money laundering of your tax dollars to all these radical leftist ideologues through USAID and into these NGOs. And when an NGO, when they say like non-government organization, there is nothing non-government. If you are funded by our tax dollars, then you are a government organization by definition. And of course, these radical leftists, these career useless people that have gone to college and radicalized themselves, all of a sudden get put on top of these NGOs, and then they start pushing all these radical leftist ideologues with all of your tax dollars. This is what you were never, ever supposed to know. You were never supposed to know how insane these people are and what the Democrats are trying to do to our society. See, Donald Trump was never supposed to come back in office. They threw everything they had at him, just like Chuck Schumer said. You know, the intelligence agencies, they have 6 ways of Sunday to get you. And so they did exactly that. Impeachment hoax 1, impeachment hoax 2, January 6th hoax, the boxes hoax, Gene Carroll hoaxes, the felony hoaxes. One hoax after a hoax, they tried to ruin Donald Trump's reputation. And then they tried to go after his family. And when that didn't work, they tried to take his life. The Democrats are truly evil, satanic. There is no coexisting with these people. Okay, there is no more opportunity for us to just get along. That ship has sailed. When you want to just get along, when you just want to be together, then you have these conversations and you have these debates. That is why we have the First Amendment, exactly like what Charlie Cook stood for. But the Democrats instead want to shut up anybody that they do not agree with one way or another. That is the Democrat Party. The Democrat Party is the party of political violence. And they sit there and they know what they're doing when they call you all these names. And then after something like this happens, they try to pretend that, hey, we just need to tone down the rhetoric. You know, can't we all just get along? But to give you a good reminder, here is the Democrats for years, right? Dehumanizing half the country.
Tonight, do you think Donald Trump is a fascist?
Yes, I do.
This is what kicking the shit out of fascism looks like.
Try to prevent the spread of the lawlessness and the fascist chaos that's been unleashed against us.
So when we say Donald Trump is a fascist, fascism, a huge component of fascism is uniting racism, bigotry, a form of racist nationalism.
I think that's one of my favorite ones, the AOC trying to explain what fascism is. I mean, that's not even close, but you can see her eyes, for those that can see the video, where she goes, okay, so I need to describe fascism. And then her brain's trying to work, but it's not. And so she thinks, well, everyone's calling Donald Trump a fascist. So let's try to put this all on Donald Trump. So she repeats all the lies that are simply not true. That we are not the racists, the Democrats are. We are not the fascists, the Democrats are. The Nazis were leftists. They were democratic socialists. All these isms always go to the left. And everything that the Nazis wanted to do back then, the Democrats are trying to do now. But of course, she can't put the two words together. And so then the rest of the Democrats continue.
We are now living in a fascist dictatorship.
We are worried about potential rise of fascism in this country. We're worried about our democracy falling to an authoritarian and potentially fascist form of government.
Not only to roll over to Donald Trump's will, but to roll over our democracy and allow him to take over this country as a fascist dictator.
When fascism isn't just coming, it's already here.
The former chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Mark Milley, said, "No one has ever been more dangerous to this country than Donald Trump, and he is a fascist to his core."
And so there you go. Right? All the same rhetoric from the Democrats, calling you all these names. See, they know what they're doing when they call you a fascist. They are trying to dehumanize you to justify these kind of lunatics who take a shot at you. And we're going to cover a whole lot more about the mainstream media and everything that led up to this insane person. But I'm way over, and we're going to go on this greedy profit break. We'll be right back after just a few minutes. You're not going to miss it. This is the CASHLOREN Show. Well, we spent a lot of time talking about this first segment where we had Charlie Kirk, who lost his life to an assassin, all because he was speaking his mind. And then we have John Cox over on X. He posted that Erica Kirk is now on Rumble, now addressing the nation from Charlie Kirk's show. I saw that. I'm going to try to get that as soon as I can. That is, I can only imagine what she's going through right now. I can't even imagine. To lose her husband, to lose the love of her life so early when she has a young daughter and a young son, all because this lunatic did not like that Charlie Kirk was saying words that he didn't think that you should be able to see. I mean, this is how insane the left is. They believe that if you say something that they don't like, that they have the right to take your life. That is the Democrat Party. This is what we're dealing with. If they can't silence you by mocking you, by slandering you, well, the next is violence. We all said that with Trump. Remember back in the 2024 election, when they tried to slander him, that didn't work. And then they brought in all those charges and those didn't work. And we said, well, what's left? To take a shot. And they did at least twice. And both times we got incredibly lucky. Where we didn't get with Charlie Kirk, but we did with that. So we have here one of the things going with, so we were over on TikTok as well, as I'm going back through this. And one of the things with TikTok is they will just take you off air for speaking anything, apparently. And so I lost my TikTok stream because it went bad, and now I just got it back. So I just got it up and running again. And that's usually pretty quick. It happens almost every week. I mean, if I say something the Democrats don't like, all of a sudden they mass report the show and it gets shut down. It's a thing with the TikTok videos too. I mean, I swear there's literally the second or third video has to get appealed. I think at one time I had 12 appeals going all at once, and then I won them all. And I've learned on TikTok, for example, you can't talk about Russiagate. If you try to talk about what happened, all of a sudden they remove you. So I mean, there is some dancing around we have to do, and it's important, I think, to stay on air. And especially somewhere like TikTok, where it's such a large population of the younger generation. And so it's important that we go over there and we speak to them. And so sometimes we have to dance around words and dance around where we don't have to do like on X and Rumble. But if we don't do that, then we can't talk to that side of the aisle. So in my mind, it's important to do so. Now, back to, there was the mugshot was released this morning, Charlie Kirk assassin Tyler Robinson. And we had shown all the pictures earlier where he, just looked like another normal, innocent kid, right? Just another nerdy, gamey kid, had a father, had a mother, went hunting, went fishing, just did all the normal American stuff until he went off to college and they radicalized him into this insane lunatic that shot Charlie Kirk. And his photo from the mugshot is a very different look than what we've seen in the other photos, where his eyes are all sunken in and he just looks dark and evil, like he should be. And now, as we started bringing the left is trying to pretend that this is somehow a MAGA supporter. See, this is what they always do when these left-wing lunatics go after someone on the right. The left-wing lunatics, what they always try to do is they always try to pretend whoever did this was some kind of like MAGA or right-wing extremist or some white nationalist. None of that is true. He was radicalized by the left at college by his own admission. And I think what's going to come out through the Discord servers and everything else. And to help bring this point home is he had all these leftist things put onto his bullet. So when they found the gun, they found the bullets, they found engravings on them. And here are some of the engravings they found. One of them they said, "Hey, fascist, catch." And you remember, if you're back when we played the earlier clip where the Democrats are calling you fascist over and over and over again, because the Democrats know exactly what they are doing when they say that. They are trying to dehumanize you to justify these insane lunatics like Tyler Robinson, to justify them taking a shot or to scream at you or to punch you, all because that they don't like the words that you said. So when the Democrats, when their isms, when their activism or liberalism doesn't work, then they resort to violence. This is the Democrat Party, folks. The Democrat Party is the party of political violence. Plain and simple. So on his bullet, "Hey, fascist, catch," which is part of the Antifa's thing. And then on another bullet, he had an Italian saying, "Oh, Bella," I think it's CIO. I don't speak Italian, but it repeats Bella CIO, Bella CIO. And these lyrics, they're from an old Italian protest song from back around World War II. And this has now been usurped as one of Antifa's theme songs. Antifa being the domestic terrorist wing of the Democrat Party. And then to help also bring this home, he then had arrows drawn on. There was his up arrow, it was a up arrow, right arrow, and then 3 down arrow symbols. And so this is a reference to a video game for Helldiver where you can drop a bomb by putting in this code. Now, he didn't have a bomb, but we get the idea. But this also has a double meaning to it too. It's because the 3 down arrows is also been taken over by Antifa. And this is on one of their flags, which says anti-racist, anti-fascist. And of course, like the Democrats, they are not anti-racist. The Democrats are the party of racism. And the Democrats are not anti-fascist. Democrats are the party of the fascists. You scratch a liberal, you will find a fascist. And just like a good old fascist that they are, the first thing that they do is they accuse you of what they are guilty of. And I think they just scream it enough times that they can then get away with it. So they think there was a double meaning there. And then, so this is from The Guardian. And The Guardian interviewed one of his very good friends. Remember also, I think it was another friend that turned over the Discord text messages to police officers talking about how insane and radicalized this kid was. He is not on the right. He is another converted Democrat domestic terrorist. And his friend goes on to prove this. This is what it said to The Guardian. He said, the suspect's high school friend says Robinson was the only leftist in their family of very hard Republicans. Right? As radicalized in school. On the phone interview on Friday, one of his friends asked by the main anonymous, the subject said that he was pretty left on everything. The only family member that was really leftist. Not surprised one bit. And then he goes on and said the rest of his family was very hard Republican. Right? Father was a sheriff. Mother, from all accounts, has a very big heart. Right? She works with disabled people. It just looks like a good mom and a good father. I mean, from the outside, from what we can tell. Lived in a nuclear family, 2 brothers, nice big home, yet the Democrats ruined his life. And we lost Charlie Kirk because of it. And then his friend said Robinson became more extreme in his political views and Wood is always ranting and arguing about them. Right, so this is after he went to another indoctrination camp that they call a university or a college. These colleges don't exist to educate people. Most of the stuff in college you don't need to know. And most of the jobs out there now, you don't even need these degrees for. These things exist to radicalize these kids. And the amount of like teachers, for example, that were praising and laughing and excited that Charlie Kirk lost his life. This is a father. This was a peaceful man. Whether you agree with him or you don't agree with him, Charlie Kirk loved humanity. Charlie Kirk was a good American patriot. Charlie Kirk was a Christian, and Charlie Kirk was married to his wife and had 2 children. He was really the best of all of us. And he took nothing and turned it into something. What everyone else said could not be done, Charlie Kirk did. The Democrats, they thought that they were entitled to the young vote, that the young people should just vote for them because they said so. Because of all the normal Democrat lies, how everyone's racist and bigot, and homophobe and transphobe, so you should vote for us, the Democrat Party for the workers. Of course, all of that is a lie. The only thing the Democrats care about is power. And the only thing that unites the Democrat Party is hatred. I mean, the amount of posts, just do it yourself. Go to Blue Sky, go on X, go on anywhere, and look at what the Democrats are saying right now. I could do for this entire hour nothing but read their posts. You know what the Democrats are saying about this? You remember, like with Rush Limbaugh, how they reacted to that, or how upset they were that the assassin missed Donald Trump. Right? Democrats are the party of domestic terrorism, and they love criminals and they hate American citizens. Now, imagine if this is all reversed. That we're talking about that poor Ukraine girl who lost her life to another radical Democrat who stabbed her for no reason. Imagine if this was backwards. Imagine if this was some Democrat and an actual someone on the right took them out. We know what would happen because of things like George Floyd. When they didn't care about any of the facts or any of the details back then. They didn't care that George Floyd was not asphyxiated. They did not care that George Floyd did not suffocate. And the Democrats did not care that George Floyd had enough fentanyl in his system to kill many people. And the videos would have exonerated everybody, but the Democrats, they hid that too. And they moved as quick as they can. And the point I'm making here is that we on the right are not like that. We didn't lie about the facts and details like the Democrats are trying to do now. We didn't start burning down cities. You know what we did is we prayed. We stayed peaceful. And I really hope it continues to do so, because I'm sure there are people out there that are itching otherwise. And I feel anger and feel rage. I mean, we lost a really good man. And when you get in this business like we do, when you put a microphone in front of your mouth and you put a camera and you go out and you talk to people, you know that you're taking that risk. That is something that we accept as part of this job. And I get why so many people now want to stay anonymous. And they do all this through these anonymous accounts. They protect themselves and protect their families. Because these insane Democrats, these domestic terrorists, will kill you just for saying something that they don't like. And they'll justify it through the Democrat Party as through hate speech. Like somehow the words are to blame, not the actions of the criminals. All through the guise of equity. There were no riots, of course, no lootings, no cities burning, no police attacked, nothing. Not on our side, because we are the side of law and order. And if you agree with me, your host, CASHLOREN, take a moment and repost this. As we see, we are on X. We are over 8,000. We're coming up with 8,500 viewers. Thank you, every single one of you, for being in and being part of this show. And we're going to take a real quick greedy profit break. Is when I looked at the viewer count, I just saw at our time, and we're up against the next one. So we'll be back here in just a couple minutes. We're going to go through. I'm going to share some of the posts that the Democrats have been spreading. And then we also have a lot more to talk about, including like Stephen King. You will not believe what he said to tens of millions of impressions. We'll talk about that and a whole lot more right after this greedy profit break. This is the CASHLOREN Show. Now, I'm going through the comments and people are doubting me on this. They're doubting me when I say that the Democrats, when they can't slander you and silence you, that the Democrats think that violence is warranted. The Democrats think that not only is violence warranted, but violence is justified. If you say something that they don't like, then they have the right to hurt you physically, even go as far as to take your life. And that's all Charlie Kirk did, is he spoke truth, and the Democrats didn't want to hear it. And he was peaceful and patriotic. He went into these colleges where many people didn't like him, that are controlled by these violent leftist activists and just put up a microphone and said, let's have a conversation. Let's talk. Let's have a discussion. Let's have a debate. This is supposed to be the American way, but the left doesn't see it that way. The left cannot win on the field of ideals. And so they have to silence you through slander. And if that doesn't work, then they have to try to harm you physically. And that's why people like here on the CASHLOREN show, we can defeat the left using just half my brain just to make it fair. And we are over on X now. We are just a couple hundred people away from 10,000 viewers. And we're up live back on TikTok now as these radical leftists, as we talk about silence, try to get the stream taken down. But the appeal was immediately won, and now we're back. Just simply speaking truth. That's all I'm doing. You don't like it? You don't like it. Let's have a conversation. But like the left normally does is they try to silence everybody because they cannot win, including someone like Stephen King. See, Stephen King is a radical leftist. I mean, he writes amazing books. I mean, The Stand is one of my favorite books of all time. I've read it every few years. It horrified me when I was a kid. I read that too. I've read several of his books, and he is one of the great writers. He's one of my favorite fiction writers, actually. But as a person, he is absolutely Looney Tunes insane. And he's a radical leftist ideologue to boot. And Stephen King, he did, you remember when Elon Musk, when he purchased X and all the Democrats said, oh yeah, we're going to go over to Blue Sky, right? We're going to go to Threads. We're just going to leave X behind. And they thought that everybody would follow them. This is like the kid that took his ball and went home. As he turned around, he went home, and the rest of the kids just grabbed a different ball. It fell for them too. And now they're slowly starting to crawl back, including Stephen King. But Stephen King, he posted this, as this was Jesse Waters, as he commented, Charlie Kirk was not a controversial or polarizing man. Facts. Charlie Kirk was a patriot. Facts. This is a turning point. We all need to turn in the right direction. Again, right. As our side, the party of law and order, we fight with words, and we're going to win this war. Make no mistake about it, there is no coexisting. This is a war to save our country, and we're going to win this war the right way. We're going to win this war by having a conversation, and we're going to win this war at the ballot box. We're not the Democrats. We don't burn down cities and assault police officers and terrorize communities when we don't get our way. We don't take climb up to a building and start taking shots at leaders because they said words that we don't like. That's not us. That's the Democrats. The Democrats are the party of political violence. Like them and their domestic terrorist wing Antifa who radicalized this kid who took out Charlie Kirk. A terrible, awful thing that should have never happened. And if we had just had a conversation, it probably never would have. Just like Charlie Kirk said, when people start talking, that's when violence happens. And that's why his mission was so important. And watch what's going to happen. Watch how badly the Democrats screwed up. When the amount of people now that are younger are going to start to realize just how insane the Democrat Party is. And you're going to see more and more people moving to the right, just like what happened earlier with Donald Trump and his movement and the MAGA movement. You know, the Democrats, they lost Elon Musk. I mean, they lost Tulsi Gabbard. They lost RFK. They lost person after person after person because they've gone so far radical to the left that most people cannot associate with them anymore. I mean, most Americans just want to be left alone. That's kind of been abused by the Democrat Party because most like us do not want to get involved. We just want to go to work. We just want to raise our families, take our kids to school, have them get educated, and get jobs and raise grandkids. But the left, they took advantage of that, and they pushed and they pushed and they pushed, and they pushed us in their corner, and now it's being forced to push back legally and patriotically. And that's what you're seeing now. You're seeing the pendulum swing back the other way, and the Democrats still don't realize it. Watch what's going to happen over the next 5-10 years. Watch all the leaders that are going to come up now through the ranks. Watch the young movement even grow more. Right, just in 2 years, young generation switched over 44 points from the Democrat Party over to the Republican Party because the Democrats pushed way too far. They're way too radical. They're way too crazy. I mean, name one single issue that the Democrats are on the right side of. They can't talk about the economy. The Democrats printed trillions of dollars, caused massive amounts of inflation that we are now fixing. The Democrats can't talk about the border. They left it wide open. They let tens of millions of people come into our country. The Democrats can't agree with the American people on immigration, as that is one of the most popular subjects and one of the things that got Donald Trump back in the White House, is deporting every single last illegal alien from this country. You see, there is no such thing as a illegal alien. There is no undocumented workers. If you come into our country illegally, the due process is you get deported expeditiously. And that is exactly what we're doing. In the so-called sanctuary cities that are nothing more than criminal hellholes, we're going in there too. We're going to deport them all. This is what the American people mandated when they voted for Donald J. Trump. And the issue that the Democrats thought they were going to be able to run on, like they did in 2022, was women's rights, because they thought they could reduce women to aborting their children. And that failed too. As the Democrats then let males, biological males, go into women's sports and spaces. And I don't know what to think on any of this. I mean, the Democrats, the only thing they can try to run on is hating Donald Trump. But when they hate Donald Trump, who they really hate is you, the American people. See, Donald Trump is just in the way of the Democrats' power and rule over you. And now they have been exposed, and they're getting less and less popular. Watch what happens in the midterms now. Watch what happens in 2028 and beyond. The Democrats can't run on anything. You know what is, I say keep it up. Keep calling all the American people Nazis. Keep calling them fascists. Keep calling them racists. Keep calling them bigots. Keep hemorrhaging voters. Mainstream media, keep lying for the Democrats. Keep being propagandists and losing all your voters. Please do it. Please learn nothing. So this is back onto Stephen King, as he wrote this. He said, after Jesse Waters' post, Stephen King quote posted it, and he said, he, meaning Charlie Kirk, advocated for stoning gays to death. Just saying. Okay, that is absolutely not true. And it's very deflammatory. He took what some of the other Democrats like to do, is Charlie Kirk will be talking about a subject, and so they'll bring up that clip, and then they'll cut out the context. And post in that Charlie Kirk and his estate, they should sue Stephen King. And I agree. And they should sue every single one of these people that are doing this. Now, I really hope that what we do is like what the left does. I really hope they create a legal fund and they start suing all these scumbags into the poorhouse. I hope they sued Stephen King to the point to where he is so poor that Stephen King has to go live in one of Zoran Mondani's communities, his communes, and see what it's like, what happens when communists take over a city, because Zoran Mondani is a communist. This whole democratic socialist is a blatant lie. It's just rebranded communism. All these isms are liberalism, progressivism, socialism, Marxism, democratic socialists, whatever they want to call themselves, is just rebranded communism. And Ted Cruz posted this. This is horrible, evil, and twisted liar. No, he did not. Agree. And then you, being the Democrat Party, was shamelessly shielded, said $100 billion to the Ayatollah. Remember, back in the Biden administration, who routinely murders homosexuals. The Free Palestine crowd never wants to talk about how the Muslims over there in the Palestine, how they treat the people that they pretend. I mean, it's truly stunning to me just how arrogant and ignorant the left is. When you have the so-called gay LGBTQ marching here for the Free Palestine and having no idea that these same people would throw them off a roof. So Stephen King wrote that. He lied. He got caught. But the thing is, he had this, I think, over at the time I did this, it had over 25 million impressions, that lie. And then Stephen King, I think he realized how much trouble he was in, because he posted, I was wrong and I apologize. I deleted the post. Well, that sounds good until you realize just how he did it, because what he did is he quote posted the same post that he said he was apologizing again. And when I took this, it had another 15 million views. Again, saying that the exact same thing of accusing Charlie Kirk of what he didn't say. This is the typical Democrat rhetoric. They'll say all these nasty things, and then they'll pretend that they didn't say it and pretend that they're sorry. And they're not. They'll go right back to it again if he already isn't. And then Stephen King going back and through apologizing to all these people, but that post was still there. You know what? Screw around and find out. Well, this is, I think got CNN here. So this is CNN, and they are, so this is the fascism monologue. So this is, let's see, no, we're going to go ahead. Give me a second. I think we're going to skip ahead to this one here. I think it's this one. So this is when CNN, when they're talking about, when they're trying to pretend that they're not for they're not Democrat propagandists, and how using the words like "we're at war" is so bad. But here's them just a couple days earlier using it side by side.
Have specific meanings. When you say we're in a war after someone has been shot, it's really an invitation to other people to commit acts of violence. And that's a despicable thing.
Like we're in a war right now to save this country, and so you have to be willing to do whatever is necessary in order to save the country.
You will never hate these people enough. Like we played earlier with all their normal fascist comments, completely utter nonsense. And then we just had, when we came out from the last commercial break, as often what I'm doing when we take commercial is I'll catch up and I'll check to make sure that any stories are breaking, and then catch up on any comments, emails. And in this one here, so this is a FEMA sector chief, Sean Kelly. He said of Charlie Kirk, kind of deserved it, meaning that Charlie Kirk deserved to be murdered for saying words that the Democrats didn't want you to say. That's the Democrat Party, right? They try to take words as hate speech, so as the words are the problems, not the actions, meaning the Democrats getting violent. And they need to get fired. And hopefully they have been and will be very, very soon. I think I had a couple more in here. We've got just a couple minutes left. No, that's the news articles. We're out of time for those. Let me go through these real quick. All right, so this is, again, some of the things that are happening online. We've got about a minute left. This account had over 5 million followers. And just like he did with Stephen King there, what this one did is they photoshopped on the person who shot Donald Trump. Because remember, the left is trying to pretend that this is a MAGA supporter when he's not. He was radicalized by these institutions that are propagandists for the Democrat Party that pretend to be colleges. And so they went in there and they went on the main photo and they put a Trump shirt on this person. Wasn't wearing a Trump shirt in the photo. Okay, and that got over 400,000 impressions at the time of this. But then they immediately did a redaction, see how they do this crap, in the thing where they showed the real photo, and that only had 50,000. And so if you're doing what like with the Democrats and the mainstream media loves to do, it's because they know most people will only read the first sentence or two. And so they'll put up something radical way up the front to get people to come to the wrong conclusion, and then they'll redact it later on. The New York Times just got busted doing this exact same thing not too long ago, where they posted an article and they did the same thing that Stephen King did. They lied about what Charlie Kirk said. And then when they lied about what Charlie Kirk said, they then did a redaction a day later, way buried down in their story about how Charlie Kirk was talking about what somebody else said. And then Charlie Kirk gave his opinion later. But the New York Times, just like Stephen King, left that part out. So if you only read the headlines, you would think Charlie Kirk said what they think they said. And checking on X again, we are now over 11,000 people watching. Thank you, every single one of you. As we're going to run out of time, one of the things I'm going to do is we're going to end the main show, and then we'll go over to TikTok for a bit. And if you have any questions or thoughts, raise your hand over there. We'll bring you up and have a conversation about anything you want. That we're going to end the end show. Thank you, everybody, for supporting the show. If you haven't, make sure you like, subscribe, and follow. And most importantly, share this and repost and help us spread an American First message. And again, thank you for everyone that's subscribing to the show. As over on Locals, it's only $5 a month to support it, the CASHLOREN show. That's Locals at CASHLOREN. And then over at TikTok, you can support the show for only $3 a month. And also, all of you receive exclusive content for doing so, just like these other fine patriots have. We'll be back again on Monday at 8 p.m. and then we'll continue on TikTok. If you're not, come over to TikTok at the CASHLOREN show and join in the conversation.